Hey you guys, it's Lynn here, the cosplayer, and today we are going to do a video where we talk about a very important subject in cosplay, and that is bullying and kind of dominating unacceptable behavior. Now, I normally do really like happy-go-lucky, fun videos and story times, but the more that I have thought about this topic, I think it's really important for us to have a really real dialogue about it, because a lot of people think bullying is one thing when it's actually a totally different thing, or it presents itself in different ways. So I wanted to do a video to kind of help people out and to also start the discussion of how can we handle bullying and what should we do when it happens to us. So the first part of this video, I'm going to be going through the 4 most common types of bullying I have seen happen at conventions and cosplay events. And then the second half of the video, I'm going to be talking about ways that I have found are the most appropriate way to handle it and shut it down. So to get this video started, I first want to say that bullying is very confusing. When we think of bullying, typically the first thing that comes to mind are kind of the high school type bullies where people are like, oh my God, you like that show, movie, blah, 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 whatever. Oh, you're such a nerd. Or people who make fun of your body by saying, oh, you're too big or too small to do that character. You don't have that character's measurements. You can't dress up as them. Oh, you look horrible. But in reality, the most common types of bullying that I have seen at cosplay conventions has been very subtle type bullying. And it can be very confusing because when people do these types of actions and you're not used to getting a response or having someone say certain things like this, it really throws you off because you're not really sure, like, is it bullying? Is it not bullying? Should I say something? Should I let it go? Do they know they're doing it? Do they know it's not okay? So the first thing I want to make very clear is most people know when they are doing something that is hurting someone else's feelings. I really truly honestly feel we all have a moral compass inside of us, and it knows when it's pointing correctly or when you get those weird vibes of, wow, someone is doing something to me that I'm really not okay with. My moral compass is going crazy and it's telling me that. So when someone is doing bullying behavior, typically it is a dominating thing. There is something in their head that is telling them they need to be the more dominant one in this situation. That is why we get a lot of things like people making mean comments, elitism, competitiveness in cosplay, because they want to be dominant or they feel like they need to have total control over the situation. Okay, so let's talk about those 4 types of bullying that I see at every convention. Some of these things have happened to friends, some of them have happened to strangers that I've just happened to witness, and some have happened to me personally, and it does not feel good. Number 1, the mean/nice comments. Now let me give you guys an example. Oh my God, I love your dress. It looks incredible. You know what's so funny is I used to use shiny fabric when I first started too. How funny is that? Okay, let's talk about this comment for a second. Why is it confusing? Well, to start off with, they are giving you a compliment and they are happy and energetic when they say it, but then they give you a dig. They're kind of bringing up that you did something wrong or that your costume doesn't look quite right or they don't agree with whatever you've done. And it really throws people off balance to get these types of comments. These are 100% bullying, and the bulliers usually know what they're doing, which is why they present it in such a positive, happy way. Like, oh, it's okay that I'm making this comment because I'm positive about it. Not okay. Not okay to ever say something like that to someone. And especially, as you can tell, they're kind of trying to knock that person down a few pegs, as in, oh, isn't it funny? You're just a beginner. You don't know what you're doing. I do. So that type of behavior, never okay. The second type is unasked for critique. And we have all been there, I feel like, where someone has come up and said a comment about our costume, giving it a critique, saying something we should change on it. It's not okay either. Let me give you guys an example. You know, I would have gone for a darker blue in the fabric, but that's just me. Comments like this, there is no positive outcome to this. If someone says a comment like this to you, they are not saying it in expectation that you're going to be like, oh my God, you know what? You are so right. This entire costume is the wrong color. Oh, I better go leave right now and go straight to Joann's, buy the right fabric, and just get sewing in my hotel room so that you are happy and pleased. They don't expect you to go do that. Like, let's be honest. What they expect is for you to feel bad in your costume or feel like you did something wrong or that people are looking so closely at your costume that they are all judging it and saying that you did a poor job on it. And again, it's very dominating behavior. And typically people give this unasked for criticism or advice because they feel poorly about their own costume and they're trying to kind of reflect those feelings onto the people around them. As in, I don't know if I did my costume right. Oh, well, that person did theirs less good than me, so I better go pick on them so they know, and then I feel better. It's kind of like that situation. We see this a lot in high school. When people feel very vulnerable, they try to make other people around them feel vulnerable because then they're like, well, if I'm going to suffer, you have to suffer too. So obviously this is a very bullying type behavior. The third type, avoiding pictures or interactions because you deem another cosplayer to be not as worthy as you. Why do people deem people this way? Typically, I have seen this, someone who considers themselves to be an aspiring professional or semi-professional cosplayer who is trying to get a lot of attention, who is trying to get a big following, tearing someone else down by refusing to interact with them, by refusing to meet up with them, by refusing to take even pictures with them or have a conversation because they don't think the other person is as skillful as they are and they're worried that other person's skills will drag their own down. Let me give you guys a little bit of advice. If you are actually a genuinely good, happy person, you will never treat another human being as less worthy than yourself. I like to keep the Disney princesses in mind. From Disneyland, a lot of us have been to Disneyland and interacted with characters there. You have villains, you have princesses, you have everyone from like the Disney world. Now we have Star Wars. When you go to Disneyland, the way that the princesses there treat everyone is exactly the same. They treat them with kindness, respect. Maybe they use like a bit of their personality. Like if you run into a villain, they might be doing an evil laugh or plotting something. But they never look at someone up and down and think, that person's not cute or good looking enough to take a picture with me. That person is not, stylish enough. Like their outfit doesn't look as good as my professional costume. I don't want a picture with them. The way that they're taught is that everyone should be treated equally, fairly, and kindly because it reflects on you as a person, how you treat others. So people out there who refuse to interact with other cosplayers because you think that they are too much of a baby cosplayer or not skilled enough, and you are, man, have I got news for you how the rest of the community views you, and it is not good. Okay, let's talk about the very last type of bullying that I see. And this one is the most problematic type of bullying because it's very vast, it's very detailed, it's mean, it's very spiteful, and I just think it really takes all the negative feelings in the cosplay community and really just wraps them all together nice and tight, and I don't like that. I really, really do not like this. Treating the same characters as you as competition. And this is kind of where the elitism plays in. A lot of cosplayers bring up the subject. The cosplay community has a major issue with elitism, where you can't just be good. You can't just be at the top of your game. You need to garner the most attention, the most skill, the biggest following. And until you reach that, you have to tear everyone else down, I guess, until you get there. Like, not okay. Things that I have seen people do. Oh, okay. When you go to a convention, and you're dressed as a character that currently is very trendy, like let's say a video game just came out, a new skin for League of Legends, a new anime that's really popular, you kind of take into account that you're probably gonna run into the same character as you if you dress up from one of those things. That's just how it is. Ever since I was a teenager and going to conventions, I knew that, and it actually made me happy and excited because when you go to a convention and you run into the same characters. Like when I was going as Katara from Avatar: The Last Airbender, I loved running into other Kataras. I could take a look at their costume, I could get ideas from how they made it, and the different versions they made. We always look different. No two costumes are alike. Every type of skin color, every type of hair color, every type of version. It was awesome and it was exciting. I never deemed them as competition to me, as in, oh, well, I need to judge them or like treat them differently because they're doing the same character as me. But I will tell you guys very, very honestly here, when I did KDA Ari last year, which at the time was a very popular costume. I think it's still, like the KDA characters from League of Legends, I think are still fairly popular. First off, you got these like super cool, like very feminine characters who have really cool looking costumes that are really girly and like garner a lot of attention. And they're kind of like these badass ladies, and they have a cool music video that they go to. Like, of course, a lot of people are gonna wanna dress up as them. That's just how it goes. It's also very current, it's trendy, it's popular, so people know what it is, it's relevant. When I dressed up as KDA Ari last year, this was the first time I ever ran into an issue at a convention where someone else treated me badly because they were dressed as the same character as me. Like, I don't think it ever had happened to me personally before. When I was walking down the hallway, I'm in my outfit, I have my little tail that lights up behind me, I'm having a great time, this is great. I spot another KDA Aubrey who's kind of going, like, I'm going this way, she's going this way, kind of the opposite way. And we're probably about 30 feet away from each other, so a little bit far. And all I did was look over, notice her, and I was like, ooh, I want to say something, I want to go talk to her. So I went, hi, and I just waved and smiled and shouted hi across the crowds. And she looked over at me, she looked me in the face, she rolled her eyes, made a face, face, and then kept walking. And I was just very stunned. I remember I stood there and I was just like, what? What just happened? Did I do something wrong? It was really, really strange interaction. And the more that I kept thinking about this, I started to realize that this was definitely a way to bully someone else. As in, like, you're doing the same character as me and I don't want to be close to you because you might get more attention than me. And I need to get more attention than you. So I have to be mean to you. There is also the fact of going to a group meetup where there is a lot of the same character, and then people doing very obvious cries for attention or actions, like very attention-seeking behaviors to be like, look at me, look at me, look at me. It kind of reminds me of if you've ever been around kids, like multiple kids, toddlers, young children, and they're all trying to get your attention, or like one of them needs to get your attention and the others are being really loud, they'll start just doing something like really annoying, or they'll do something very loud to like get your attention, even though it's not socially acceptable. So what I mean by this is if you go to a group meetup and they're doing group photos and you are the person who is at the very front and you are just trying to get the most amount of space. You have your arms out and you're like, look at me, don't look at them, look at me. I'm the main center of focus here. That is pretty bad bullying, I would say, because those other people who are at this group meetup, they want to get their photos taken too. And, it's just not friendly. It's not friendly to do that. So don't treat other people who are dressed as the same characters as you poorly because you view them as competition. When you go to a convention, it is not about being the best. I have pretty bad news for you guys. If you do cosplay because you think, well, I'm going to be the very best at it, there will always be someone better than you. There will always be someone that's doing something different than you're doing and getting more attention from that. Doing cosplay is a very interesting hobby because it's like being a fashion designer and a model at the same time. You have to have some kind of creativity level, even if it's just buying outfits, like being able to put colors together or know how things go together, or even making them yourself. But you also have to be the model that wears this and knows how to show it off a certain way to garner a certain amount of attention. But it's not about getting the most attention. And it would be kind of hilarious if you went to a runway show and there was one model that was at the end of the runway going, hey, I'm the most important here. Everyone look at me. Don't look at them, look at me. Like it would be very embarrassing. Okay, so now that we've done that part of the video, let's get into how to handle when you're being bullied at a convention. There are two different ways that this can go. The first way, you were in a situation that you have the option to leave or not address that the bullying is going on. Or you are in a situation where you cannot leave. You are in a line, you are at some sort of group thing, like whatever it is, it's not really an option to leave. Okay, so if you can't leave, this is my best advice that I'm gonna give you guys. And please take this into consideration. Even if you don't agree with me, I really feel like this is the most helpful and mentally will make you feel the most like okay in the end. When you go to a convention, a lot of people think of bullying as harassment, and harassment can be bullying too. But this is the more common types of bullying that I see. When you go to a staff member to report someone, they're gonna ask you, okay, well, did this person harass you? And you're gonna be like, well, technically no. Did they follow you? No. Did they touch you? No, they didn't do that either. Staff is not there to prevent you from getting mean comments thrown at you. They're there to prevent harassment, stalking, unacceptable behaviors from happening. Like they're kind of there to protect people and make sure that people aren't getting hurt. And if you go up to a staff member and say, that person is being really mean to me over there, they're gonna be like, okay, but that's not my problem. Like, why don't you just go tell them that or leave? So leave the staff up to dealing with people who actually are harassing others. And for bullying behavior, this should be something that you take care of yourself. Okay, if you have the option to leave, number one, walk away if you can. This is the best way to diffuse bullying, because typically bullying only happens if one party decides to dominate and the other person has to be passive because of that dominating behavior. If you walk away, you're not giving that bully the option to dominate you because you are taking yourself out of the situation. Walk away. Take a few minutes to cool down. Like, I don't know about you guys, but anytime if someone says something to me that I deem as bullying or dominating behavior and it makes me feel uncomfortable, my heart will beat really fast and I get really irritated, upset. Why would someone say that? Why would they do that? So walking away is good because it takes me out of the situation and gives me a minute to cool down so I don't say something back that ends up turning into a fight or an argument or getting them to start bullying more. Because it's like if you give them that energy, they will take it and they will go with it. When you walk away, it also gives you a chance to sit down and laugh off how ridiculous it is. A lot of people's behavior they think is acceptable, but if you just look at them and go and crack up and walk away, you're taking them out of that position of power. You're saying, sorry, but you don't have the power to be a bully to me because I'm not going to be a victim. Sorry. Number two, once you have walked away, cooled off, had a day, an hour, a week, whatever, tell someone, vent about it, vent about what happened. Now, the reason I say this is because I feel like when people get overwhelmed in these types of situations, it's not the single situation. It's kind of like lots and lots of little situations have built up over time. Think of them as tiny little rocks. They're very tiny, but when you stack enough of them up, it makes this big mountain of rocks. And that one tiny rock on top is the one that might just break you and make you have a little bit of a mental breakdown. When you vent to someone and tell someone, hey, this happened to me and oh my gosh, it was so embarrassing, or someone made me feel uncomfortable and I didn't know how to handle it. First off, they can help you confirm how stupid that person is. They can say, wow, I can't believe someone would do that, especially someone who is an adult or a teenager. They know better. That's a really stupid way to act. And also, They can give you a little bit of validation of, no, you didn't do anything wrong. Your costume is fine. Your body is fine. The situation is fine. It's their attitude towards it that's the issue. And if you talk and vent about it, choose someone that you actually trust. Choose your close friend, a spouse, a family member, just someone who knows you and you trust with sharing your emotions with. Because if you go through something that is very bullying, it makes you feel vulnerable, and having a support team around you, support system, whether it's your gaming friends online that you trust with your secrets, whether it's your best friend who you can snuggle up to in real life and tell them like, man, that really sucked. It gets rid of that feeling of feeling vulnerable. You feel like, something happened, it wasn't great, but I can talk about it and that's how I get over it. Okay, so let's talk about interactive ways to deal with bullying. The best piece of advice, if you guys take nothing else away from this video, take this advice. Say something to the person. If they come up and they say, your costume, you really need some work on it. Like, those shoes aren't really the right type of shoes for that character. Maybe try these shoes. The best thing that you can do, instead of trying to laugh it off and be like, oh, yeah, you're right, say something, and say something loud enough so the people around you hear. Now, I'm going to give you guys my 3 top phrases of what I say to people when I am not okay with the situation. Number 1, that comment or behavior is not acceptable. I love the term not acceptable because it is professional. It takes the emotion out of the situation. They're not saying, I didn't like how that made me feel. That wasn't, happy or nice. It's saying just straight up, that type of behavior is not acceptable and knock it off. You say that and it sounds professional. It's not mean. You can say it in a very kind way, and it lets the other person know that you're not okay with the way that they're treating you in that moment. Number 2, I don't like it when cosplayers are negative or, bringing negativity to situations instead of positivity. I like the word negative because it's kind of reminding the bullier that what they're doing is not helpful or kind in any way. In fact, it's tearing someone else down, and they're making something that they are going to that is fun and happy, they're making into a negative situation. And also, if you say that loud enough, a lot of people will usually be like, yeah, she's right. That is kind of negative. And the 3rd phrase, I don't find that to be appropriate. And you can say this in so many different situations, which is why I really like it. But appropriateness is knowing when it's okay to say or do something versus when it is not. Can you have thoughts and feelings about someone's quality of their costume? Yes. Can you write about it in a blog? Can you do a video online? Yes, you can. Can you go up to them at a public event and tell them in front of other people that they have done something incorrect in their costume? No. That is knowing when it is appropriate to say or do something. And the funny thing is, bullies don't expect you to fight back. They don't expect you to say something. So when you say something, it's kind of shocking them. And a lot of times if you say, I'm not okay with that, the first thing they do is go, oh, okay. Because they are not used to being called out. They will sit down and typically they will be quiet. The other thing is, if you say this loud enough that the people around you hear and it garners attention, a lot of times it will also embarrass the bullier into stopping their behavior because it's getting negative attention towards them, and that's the last thing that they want. As I said before, all of this behavior is very dominating, but it's usually because they're trying to get some sort of positive interaction from the people around them or for themselves. So if you bring negative interaction from strangers to them, that's the last thing that they want. Now, number 4, the last interactive way that you can deal with a bullier is one of my favorites because it is so unusual and people never expect it. So when it happens, it really throws people off. And that's using humor to diffuse the situation. So we have all seen so many good characters at cosplay events who just really know how to play up their character. Everything from villains to Deadpool, anime characters, just people that really embody that character. And one of the things that is so great about going to Disneyland and interacting with professional characters is they know different ways to diffuse situations without coming out of character. So what I try to think of is, okay, if someone throws a comment at me or says something to me or treats me in a certain way that I am not expecting, what is something I can do to get some laughs from the crowd? You know, if you have a pun or a joke that works well with your universe or character, use it. Because if they are trying to dominate you by putting you in an awkward position or making you feel bad, a lot of times if you say a dumb pun about it or a dumb joke, it throws the bullier off because they're like, wait a second, I was trying to make her feel bad. Why is she laughing about this? And getting people around them to also laugh really just diffuses like the tension of the situation too. People typically take cosplay way too seriously. I swear to God, every person I have met that has done something negative or mean at a convention is just because they are just like in this really, really serious mindset. Like, oh, I need to be the best, need to get the most attention. This isn't a game. This isn't a joke. This is really, really serious, real life. And so by making it into a joke, by making yourself into a joke or even the situation into a joke, you're kind of taking that power away from them and saying, dude, chill. It's fine. Get over it. Yes, I know that my costume isn't the exact color of the character. Yes, I know that my headdress is missing these beads. Or yes, I know I came to this meetup and maybe the other characters look differently than me. That's fine. Chill out. I really love it when people can find humor in life situations that aren't comfortable because it also makes the people around them feel better too. So if you see that League of Legends character from across the hallway who is doing something that embarrasses you in front of a crowd, you know, someone who refuses to interact with you or says a mean comment to you, say, well, guess I can't afford that skin yet, and you might get some chuckles out of the crowd. Okay, guys, the last thing I want to just say to end this video are the rules of cosplay so we can keep it in our minds. Number one rule, always have fun. Wherever you go, whatever you do, whether you are competing, whether you are trying to just gain more skill on your own, whether you're going to photo shoots, meetups, whatever it is, have fun doing it. And if you find yourself at an event or situation or in a group of people and you're like, I am not having fun, I'm not having a good time, be honest about it and change your surroundings or change your mindset. Change something that will make you have fun. Because in the end, that's what cosplay is all about. It's about having a good time and like having fun with it. And number two, dress up in a way that you like for yourself, like by you, for you. Do cosplay because you enjoy it and do characters that make you happy for whatever reason. Don't base your decisions off what the crowd wants, what other people want, what your spouse tells you to do, what your friends tell you to do. Do it because it makes you happy. The best cosplayers I have ever seen are the people who are just there having a great time. They don't care if they win. They don't care if they garner the most attention. They have a beautiful, happy smile on their face. They're having a great time. They know what they like, and they don't need other people to tell them what it is. So anyways, thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you got some good information. I will see you guys coming up at Emerald City Comic Con 2020 and also SakuraCon. So if you see me, come say hi. Come tell me about your life. Tell me about how you started watching my videos. So anyways, bye guys and have a good night.